Yeah, so last weekend I got a text from a friend like, "Hey, Jason's in jail." I'm like, "Oh man, what do you do this time?" He's like, "Well," he kind of gave me the rundown, and then I heard from you after that. So, why are you getting arrested?
Stealing hubcaps, you know,
Back at it
times are hard.
again.
Yeah, it's not a lot of cars have hubcaps nowadays, so it's
True,
really challenging. It's
true.
it's a very it's a tough. It's nostalgic. No, simply put, I was arrested for exercising the First Amendment.
Yeah,
It was until the police showed up in a cordon, the most peaceful, joyful event I had ever been to. And then, when the police arrived in force, my I got heated and some other folks got heated because they came in like three platoons in a military style cordon of the event, and then it got heated. But yeah, it was I had someone ask me that question. The official answer is I was arrested for violating a special order, which is kind of horrifying. Yeah, it just sounds something that sounds like tyrannical.
it does.
And but then, I meet with a group of guys and we still train and young guys, and it made big news nationally, locally and nationally. And they're like, what did you get arrested for? And I said, it just came out. I said, oh, exercising my First Amendment rights. And it just came out, and then I was like, whoa, that's literally exactly why I was arrested.
Right. Now,
And
now you're in Hawaii,
I am in
and
Hawaii.
what was the event at which you were arrested?
It was a reopen Hawaii event. There were national events. Most of them went on across the country without a hitch. Many police unions told their police not to obey the orders to ticket or cite or arrest people because the Attorney General Barr, had issued a very clear statement that people's First Amendment was not to be infringed. And so I was so tired that day, Taylor. I didn't even want to go, but my Facebook account was associated with the Reopen Hawaii event because a friend asked me to do that. And so people kind of saw me as an organizer, and I thought, I have to go. But I had been up since 4 in the morning. I run an organization, Movie to Movement. People think we make movies, but really movies are a means to an end. Our mission is to advance the interests of the vulnerable from the child in the womb to the Uyghur in East Turkestan. Most of what we do, like that iceberg, is beneath the surface. I've been working on food security for vulnerable people in Africa. I had been working with different government officials in different African countries that morning. I had to get up at 4 in the morning to make those calls. I had interviewed the U.S. ambassador to Rome for food agencies on my podcast about food insecurity. We're looking at over 100 million people this year will starve just because of the shutdown around the world.
Yeah.
So it's just emotionally draining. And I had been up very early. I didn't even want to go. I said to my wife, I'm not even going to talk. I'm just, if people try to get me to speak, I'm not going to speak. Let's go, let's smile, and let's leave.
Okay.
And it was all going very peaceful. When I saw the cordon, being a former military man, you do what you do. You move towards the cordon. So I moved towards the officers with my phone rolling, where I began to inform them that they were banal. I got a little out of control. I was a little rude. I wish I wasn't so rude, but my blood was boiling. And yeah, so and Taylor, people go, why were you there? I wish I could say I was there because of my concern for the Bill of Rights and the Constitution, but that's not really what drove me to go there that day, as tired as I was. It was this global shutdown, Corona, has been used to arrest democracy activists in Hong Kong. It has been used by governments across the country to arrest and brutalize dissent, to brutalize minorities. In China, Corona has been used to in occupied East Turkestan. The Chinese have used Corona to ramp up their genocide of the Uyghur. And of course, my great concern for food security around the world, from India across the Middle East into the Horn of Africa, I was there for them. I wanted to be in solidarity with the democracy activists, with the Uyghur, with the people who are going to starve, and also my home. I'm not a scientist, I'm not a biologist, I'm not a virologist, but I am a political philosopher and political scientist, and I have studied genocide, democide, war, and famine for 30 years. I can grab all the books within arm's reach. These are, for 30 years, this has been my Bible, Death by Government and the Black Book of Communism. This is what I studied. And The number one killer in the past 100 years has been famine. The number two has been direct violence by governments against their own people. That's kind of even not honest, because most of the famines in the past 100 years, like in the Ukraine, like in China, like in Ethiopia, were caused by governments.
Right.
And it was not caused by Mother Nature. It was caused by governments. So really, the number one killer has been governments. Famine has been an instrument of that. Now, do I believe that there is some cabal out there conspiring to starve Africans? I don't know. But what I know is cabal, or just some sort of bizarre mimetic contagion of fear, what we're doing is going to kill people.
Yeah.
And so I was there because of my very real concern for the vulnerable. And I saw when you tweeted out that I was going to be there, someone said, those police saved Jason's life. Those police handcuffed me for 3 hours in the back of a car where the guy next to me and the woman in the car across from me both had heat stroke.
Mm.
And I was the last one out. I was there for an hour more than everyone because I said, let me out last. They were older.
Right.
Keep me in here. Process them first. I was in a car shoulder to shoulder with no mask with the guy for 3 hours. So they didn't save my life. I was out in the bright sun with my family when they handcuffed me, exercising my First Amendment rights. And so I want to speak to you Catholic social justice warriors. Taylor, can I give a little commercial to them?
Let's do it.
Don't be
Mr.
thoughtless. Don't be mimetic. Really care about the vulnerable, like the elderly in the old folks' homes in Pennsylvania and New Jersey and Canada who are dying and died. Be thoughtful of the elderly who are suffering across Hawaii when our friend Dallas Carter and his program rolls into these houses. They haven't eaten days. The depressed, our suicide hotline, 8,000% increase.
Wow. In Hawaii.
Calls. Nationally. Now, how's this? That's not even the biggest problem. And I made a video yesterday. I made a little rant. Do you remember in the 90s? And in the 80s, there was this, the footprints in the sand, God carrying you, and that was like everywhere. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah. It was a refrigerator magnet on everyone's house.
Everyone's door. It was a bookmark. Yeah. And then in the 90s, it was a butterfly flaps his wings in the rainforests of Brazil. Yeah. And then, this happens and that happens, that happens, that happens. And the Patriots win the Super Bowl. See how that was all connected?
Yep.
How do these people not understand a global slowdown of the economy pushes people on the edges of hunger into hunger, people in hunger into famine? How do they not understand this? It doesn't make sense. They're victimists who want to kneel before the gods of the city, and they're really worried about themselves. They are thinking they're going to get sick. So they pretend they care about others. Zmirak and I wrote my favorite article, The Preferential Option for Myself. People use Catholic social teaching to defend themselves, not as a call to serve others, but as a bat to hit people to say, you need to serve me. But they don't want to admit that. So they have to somehow always structure their arguments as if they care about others, when really they're just worried themselves.
Right.
And so, the reason I was there was to be in solidarity with those people around the world suffering because of COVID crackdowns, violence by totalitarian regimes, and famine, and also because of my concern for my own neighborhood, my family. Hawaii is the furthest place in the world from any place in the world. 2 weeks go by with no ships, we begin to go hungry. A month, we begin to starve. We cannot feed ourselves. And that's all because of trade policies put in place in the Clinton administration. We used to feed the world, now we can't feed ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, what about all the fruit plantations that were in Hawaii? What happened to all that?
Well, we made trade agreements with China and other countries that obliterated Hawaiian agriculture. And that's why I'm using this opportunity to push what I call the Hawaii Food Security Act. The people of Hawaii are literally the most vulnerable people in the developed world to hunger. And it's hard for people to believe because something it's called normalcy bias. Today was like yesterday, tomorrow will be like today. Things are always the same, but things aren't always the same, as we can see.